The Tigers out-hit the Guardians on Tuesday, but the Guardians got the hits when it mattered. Haven't been able to say that a ton. We'll talk about how this lineup has transformed into something dynamic and if the Guardians and Tigers are the real rivalry.
Parker Messick, Cleveland Guardians. You're listening to Locked On Guardians.
You are Locked On Guardians, your daily podcast on the Cleveland Guardians. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into another episode of Locked On Guardians, your only daily Cleveland Guardians podcast, covering your team from the majors to minors to draft and everything in between. And right now, it is a fun time to be talking about your Cleveland Guardians every single day because everything's coming up Cleveland right now, as we continue to say, and going to hope the coin keeps coming up that way. It's a two-sided coin with the big block C on it. I'll take that, or some kind of Cleveland C. That's Jeff Ellis, host of the show for the last 8 years. Justin Lada here, hosting the show with Jeff Ellis for the last 4 seasons. Unbelievable. And we've both been covering the Guardians minor league system or the draft for the last 19 years. Jeff, this lineup continues to find a way. It's like Jurassic Park, like finds a way. Right now, the Guardians offense has a lot of life. Did you know, Jeff, coming into this game on Tuesday, we're starting off with the did you know. Don't you love that? I love a good did you know. In the month of May, they had the most runs scored in baseball. They had the 5th highest WRC plus in the month of May as well. So they are, again, we talked about how they're a top 10 offense in all of baseball. They are legitimately a top 5 offense in the month of May. Kyle Manzardo's got it going on. He had a hit today. Travis Bazzana certainly has it going on. We'll talk about him. And Brayan Rocchio's doing good things. Everybody is finding a way to contribute. We'll talk about rivalries, Bazzana transforming the offense, but of course, the offense coming through when it matters. I was not a big fan of the Angel Martinez bunt in the second inning. I'll admit, you had 2 runners on, and I know you want to get those runners over. You want to get them in, but Martinez has been really hot lately, at least playing very well. And you had Quan behind you, who has been better the last couple games, but was moved down the lineup for a reason. Then you have Hedges and Rocchio, and I'm okay with Hedges bunting. We'll talk about that. With nobody out and 2 on, especially with Bazzana at first base, you had Manzardo at second, Bazzana at first. A base hit probably still scores Manzardo, depending on where it's hit. A double scores them both for sure. It worked out, but I didn't love it. I'll say that.
Yeah, it's tricky. Like over the last 2 weeks, the highest OPS on this team is Brayan Rocchio, followed by Travis Bazzana, and then Jose. And those guys are, Jose's at an 887, 939, and 935. Martinez is at an 805. Like he is still producing well. Quan's at a 600, Delauder's at a 559, and Schneeman's at a 457. So, it definitely was kind of Schneeman is a fantastic player. He has his hot streaks, and you ride him when it's hot. And when these moments happen, you still have a guy who can run a little and a guy who plays defense. But I agree. Like Angel seems to come up big in those moments. I understand like small balls work for them, so I can't hate on it too much, but you kind of just want to see Angel go out and swing. But the other side of it is he's also the guy who's kind of in that area when you have some of the lineup where he's less likely to make contact than some of the other hitters. So, I get the idea of the bunt, but yeah, I don't like taking the bat out of some of the guys. It's a situation where it's like with their struggles, it's like if Quan wanted to bunt, sure. Even right now with Chase Delauder really scuffling, it's like, okay. But like, I don't like taking it away from Angel when, he leads the team in home runs. And he is currently still riding a hot streak. He had that dip and then he came right back out of it. So, again, I love this lineup. It's probably the most fun. I was saying this in our comments today. It's the most fun lineup, I think, since Lindor was here, honestly.
Mm-hmm. And 17.
Yeah. And a lot of that is what Chase brought at the start and continues to do. This is really his first time he's scuffled. Even when he wasn't hitting for power, he was getting on base at a high route. And then, I was talking about this in our Discord. Watching this game is just so obvious to me that we really always have to be thankful for 2023 and the fact that they lost the last series against the Tigers. And I remember having arguments in our comments here because if they win that series, they end up picking 11th. The Tigers took Bryce Ranier at that 11th pick, and he is not a top 100 prospect, to put it nicely. It's ugly. Cleveland honestly probably would have been looking at James Tibbs or Brent Montgomery, who's a switch hitter. They wouldn't have taken Cam Smith because he's a righty. So it's like, but any of those guys, like even though James Tibbs has cooled off a lot from that nice hot stretch, they're not Travis Bazzana. This was a historical draft, and man, they picked the right time to get that first overall pick. And it's, I can't help but laugh. There have been so many haters. He's obviously not going to probably keep this up at this rate. He's playing like, the best second baseman on the planet darn near, with just the rate he gets on base. And now the power is starting to get there. He's been phenomenal, but like, he is the lineup transformer right now. And
he's Optimus Bazzana.
I mean, it's just, and he occasionally expands. Don't get me wrong. I haven't really looked at his Savant page, but gosh, it's like having a more athletic Carlos Santana behind the back there.
That's a great comparison. That's a great comparison
with how good the eye is. And then like, I think about like Santana getting up into being a 20 home run guy and just working those counts. Imagine if you had Travis Santana, but he ran well and could play a decent second base. Like, I love Santana. This is not me insulting him on any degree, but like a plus version of Santana is a very, very good player. And that's what I feel like I see often right now, Travis Bazzana.
Yeah. I was planning to get this more in the second segment, but we're into it now, so we might as well talk about it. But am I crazy to think there's a chance he makes the All-Star team? Like, it's only 18 games, and he may not get voted in, although, I don't know, Cleveland might love Bazzana enough to vote him in. It might be crazy enough. But he right now, Jeff, is 6th in the AL in WAR. He has got the highest WRC plus.
Among second basemen, I assume, when you say
yes,
it.
I'm sorry, among second basemen. It's not a great position, as we've talked
about
before. Like,
it's really not in the American League. Gleyber Torres had a great year in the first half, in fairness to him. But, like, he was the starter last year. It's like, okay, so if we look at only
70, if you do 70 plate appearances, he just missed 2 home runs, right? On Monday night. We thought at least 1 home run. And then he comes back on Tuesday and he ends up hitting one. So you could tell he's really getting into a swing and he feels it from that pull side. But like, so he's got 2 home runs right now. Only a couple guys have more than that. Cole Young, who's not playing all that well. Chase Mydroth, who's not a power hitter. Michael Massey, who's terrible. Ezekiel Duran's the best second baseman in the American League right now by most metrics. Ernie's he's solid. Jose Altuve's hurt. He's been kind of meh.
I mean, Jazz Chisholm is mostly playing second base this year, right? Yeah, he's only played second base.
He's below league average offensively, and he's got 5 home runs and 12 steals.
He's a 98, so he's pretty much average. So he's average with really good defensive metrics. But it's gonna be hard to overcome a New York guy. So Jazz probably
Bazzana's at a 143 right now. So actually, 143 would top. I guess it's a smaller sample, but that would top Ezekiel Duran, depending on what he does on Tuesday. So he could. I mean, I don't know. We'll see what happens. We got a whole other month before this is decided.
Yeah, we got. But the ups and downs of rookies. We're seeing it all too well.
Yes,
everyone is like with Chase, and even with the Tigers with McGonigal. Like
Kevin McGonigal's had a
no
rough
one
May,
is keeping that pace going. But I mean, if you heading into the game, and obviously he had another great game today. He was second to Duran, and as you said, Duran is maybe the leader in the house. It probably goes to Chisenhall. I mean, in voting just because of name value, but
I do wonder I do wonder if Bazzana playing well, being the number 1 pick, and we'll see how things play out over the next month or so, but. The Guardians, what did I say off air, Jeff? The Guardians are 13-7 since Bazzana's come up, and they're 7-1 in their last 8 games. They're really rolling right now. I kind of wonder if they continue to roll, if they have this hot stretch, the offense is going, and it's a lot of it, some of it's attributed to Bazzana being called up and the walks, and he's starting to find a little more hits as we knew he would, plus the steals. Like,
Richie
I wonder
Palacios
if Cleveland
is 6th best former Guardians draft pick. I gotta throw that out there in terms of WRC plus.
I always like
it's a big retread list. Sorry to interrupt you, but you got looking at this top 10. It's like, okay, Pereza,
Oswald Peraza,
who
was a top prospect with the Yankees. Yes, you have 2.
Ernie Clement.
Actually, okay, so you have 3 Guardians on this list. If you count Palacios, Clement, and Bazzana. You also have 3 ex-Yankees on this list too, or I should say 3 Yankees in general, because you have Chisholm. You also have Gleyber Torres, who's an ex-Yankee. You have Ezekiel Duran, who was traded to New York or was traded to Texas for, I believe, Joey Gallo.
You
You have Oswald Peraza, who is one of their top prospects too. So the top second baseman in baseball right now are either current Guardians or ex-Guardians, or current Yankees or ex-Yankees. So
yeah, at least in the American League, I
Isn't that
flip
hilarious?
over
Yeah,
and look.
American League.
But it's like Altuve is just strictly average this year. It's
Yeah, and
just
he
that.
just
I
got
mean, the
hurt
list
too,
isn't great.
so-
And Jeff McNeil, we know, started out. He was playing well when Cleveland came to town, but he's fallen off a cliff since then. I mean, Oakland's lost their last 3 in a row, and they're still first in the West because no one wants that division.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a pretty ugly contest, and the young guys like Keyshaw with the Twins haven't stepped up that people were expecting. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, Kansas City can make a case for Nick Lofton. It's going to be a weird year, but I think you're right. I think Bazzana, when we come back from break, we can debate it some more, but I think you're right. I think there is a case, even though he's called up late, for him to be an all-star this year. Let's get that contract signed. I'm sorry. Let's get that done. If he's going to make an all-star game after being called up late.
It's not the first time. I mean, I know he's not Paul Skeens, but Paul Skeens started an all-star game after being called up in May. So why not Travis Bazzana? I mean, got to get Cleveland behind him, and then he's got the whole country of Australia behind him. I don't know how many people that is, but not of my current population census in Australia, but we can get them all behind him. We'll talk more about this lineup.
It's the coasts, and then a lot of things that'll kill you in the middle. So he also has a lot of like poisonous creatures. It's all the poisonous creatures live in Australia.
Well, I have an idea. I have a theory. We can come back and talk about that next. We'll talk about that, the offense finding ways. We'll talk about the bullpen decisions, and we got to talk about rivalries. Maybe the rivalry is Yankees and ex-Yankees and ex-Guardians second baseman. That's the real rivalry. The NBA playoffs are here. The Eastern Conference Finals are here. Every possession is going to matter. If you're looking to get closer to the action as the Cavs and Knicks do battle for the NBA Finals to represent the East, FanDuel has a great offer to get you started right now. If you're a new customer, you can bet just $5 and get $100 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. So you can turn $5 into $150 in bonus bets just for getting started. Now, the Cavs are ongoing as I'm recording this. The Guardians and Tigers don't have an official line for Wednesday because it's Tanner Bivey versus the bullpen day, and the Guardians are just rolling right now. They're rolling so much that they're minus 130 to win the AL Central now, so they are favorites to win the division. However, they're not favorites to win the American League. Obviously, the Yankees are still there, but they're behind the Mariners and the Rangers. Obviously, the Rays, the Mariners and the Rangers aren't even 500 teams. I think they're better than that. Anyway, head to FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel, play your game. And there's two things I love. I love summer, and I love summer food flavors like the cotton candy. If you have a sweet tooth like I do, it is tough to find the perfect treat without all the sugar. And if you need that energy boost, that is why Cotton Candy 5 Energy Shot brings the nostalgic flavor back in a whole new way. Classic cotton candy taste we all love, but with a tasty caffeine boost. Zero sugar, no guilt, quick, easy way to satisfy your sweet tooth, keeping things simple on the go. I love summer flavors all year round. And look, we got Guardians playing well. The Cavs in the NBA Finals. We're all going to be out doing stuff during the summer. Going to need that boost of energy, whether you're outside doing stuff with family, cookouts, kids. You want that boost of energy. You want something sweet. You don't want the guilt. 5-Hour Energy Cotton Candy brings that sweetness. Shots available online now at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. Thank you for always making Locked On Guardians your first listen today and every day, wherever it is you get podcasts. If you're here every day and you haven't checked out the Everydayer Club, what are you waiting for? It gets you ad-free access to all of our shows on the audio version, and you get access to our private Discord where you can chat with Jeff and I during the game when moves are happening, other listeners of the show, as well as other hosts of Locked On and all their fans too. So you can talk some trash to Detroit. Yes, Jeff just sent me an offline message. Yes, I did. So take that to the bank. Take it to FanDuel is all I can say on that one, Jeff. All right, here's my theory. Here's my theory. We get all of Cleveland behind Travis Bazzana, which why wouldn't you be, right? We get all of Australia behind Travis Bazzana, why wouldn't you be? And then we send kangaroos and spiders and whatever else Australia has in that big hairy middle of the country. And we sick them on New York. We sick them on the rest of the country. And we say, vote Bazzana or be subject to these poisonous animals with boxing force punches. I don't know. That's the best I can come up with. We threaten them with critters that will kill you from Australia if you don't vote Bazzana.
Yeah, what to say? It's going to be interesting. It's always hard because Cleveland is one of, as much as people like to argue, it is a small market. And it just means there's less voting. There's also just all the hinkiness that can happen. But I mean, it's crazy that he can legitimately have a chance right now. It's a great story. I'm still hoping, rooting against him for Rookie of the Year, just because I'm hoping it goes to Lada or Messick. That's
true.
Right.
You need the PPI pick. For sure.
The PPI pick would be nice.
Which is why, again, you want to get a contract done with Bazzana sooner than later, because if he gets that Rookie of the Year, I mean, we'll see. It's gonna be tough as it is, but I don't know. Although we did have a good comment. Someone did say, like, they were mentioned about how they did the Straw contract and you talked about this the other day. Straw, Jimenez, they got off from under those. They got lucky that Quan and McKenzie both refused theirs. The only thing is, I don't think Bazzana is either of those two guys, or any of those guys, those four, I should say. Like, you have a much better baseline skill set for Bazzana. Like, he's not Jimenez as a defender, but offensively, there's a lot more there. Same with Straw, and then he doesn't have the risk like McKenzie because he's not a pitcher with a tiny body, and he's also not short and without muscle. I don't want to, diss Stephen Kwan too much, but he's built better than Stephen Kwan. So you don't have all those red flags in his profile.
I think the other thing too is, and I got to go look at Bazzana before I say this, but it's if you look at Jimenez's breakout year and then you look at Stephen Kwan's rookie year, and what did those two guys have in common? They had their, BAPIPs that were through the roof. And I believe it was the same with Miles Straw when he came to Cleveland. It was the best BAPIP of his, he had a 295. I guess it wasn't that, or no, I'm sorry. He had a 336, which was pretty much his best with consistent playing time, and he has never approached that since. He's a 300 BAPIP guy for his career. So the other thing is, all three of those hitters we discussed, was it Jimenez had a 370 or something great? We should have known Jimenez was coming back to earth. They all had that data that showed us that they're more lucky than good. And with McKenzie, we also had a long injury history in the minors. He had the back issue, which had held him up, and then we also had the weird thing where just McKenzie just didn't develop the way he was expected in the minors. He didn't add, he couldn't add weight, and then he didn't really add a lot of giddy up on his fastball. And
it was there at times.
It was there, but it wasn't consistent. And that's what's really interesting is those guys were all incredibly, for the reasons we pointed out, Jimenez had already failed at the big league level, and Straw had already also failed at the big league level. So these guys all had massive red flags. They all had big issues that you were kind of like Jimenez. You're well, maybe he can be a happy medium and that contract will be worth it because second basemen aren't easy to find. Or, with Straw, it's well, he's a Gold Glover. He's just got to approach. Yeah. He's got to just approach average. And Quan, it's great rookie year. Maybe he can build on it. Now we know that guys don't really build on rookie years in retrospect. But yeah, I think with Bazzana, he doesn't have, as you talked about as well, he doesn't have the flags that make you scared. The only guy who does is Chase. If you're talking about a trade just because of health, he still has some level of flag, but Bazzana, there really isn't much. Now, I know people are going to comment, dude, about the fact that you said that he isn't small, because people are always wanting to call Bazzana small, even though he's probably taller than most of the people who are commenting on him and his height.
He's not. He's taller than Stephen Kwan.
Yeah.
He's obviously not as fast or rangy, defensively gifted as Andres Jimenez, but he runs as well as Straw did. He walks more than all of them. He hits more than all of them. The profile of the body just doesn't have the same red flags. Pitchers get hurt, especially pitchers that look like Tristan McKenzie, which, we can bring up that and your old buddy Jason Schmidt, who hopefully doesn't mind the podcast. Yeah.
No, there's literally no pitcher who ever had his height to weight ratio in the big leagues. Not a one.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think even Jacob Misiorowski or Chris Sale, not even close.
No,
right?
no. Misiorowski is got a little bit more. Close. Chris Sale is not. Chris Sale had, because McKenzie was just so slight.
Yeah.
Maybe Misiorowski. Misiorowski's 6'7", 201. So maybe he's the closest comparable. He also has, the stuff he has. He's
also a freak.
Yeah.
He is. Jacob Misiorowski is baseball's version of Victor Wembanyama. I was just watching that game last night as we were post editing, and I was boy, I don't know what you're supposed to do with Victor Wembanyama. I think Jacob Mizorowski is at
Yeah,
MLB's.
and like
Victor
this will get me in
Wembanyama.
trouble, but it's like he's gonna be great, but he's still the guy I would never draft. Like just like that profile with that height and that way, like I'm not chasing unicorns. That's my thing. I'm never gonna
Yeah.
chase unicorns, and
The
he
Guardians
could be
love a
great.
unicorn.
Oh, they
Yeah.
do.
They sure do. All right, we'll talk more about the lineup, what happened in Tuesday's game, the bullpen usage, and rivalries. Why the Guardians and Tigers are definitely rivals, at least right now. Look, we all know baseball, it's full of routines, superstitions. We have rally caps, lucky jerseys. I wear the same stuff a lot to multiple games if they win, all that. And it's kind of the same when it comes to hair products for hair thinning as well. It's a lot of hype, sometimes not a whole lot of confidence behind it, like your lucky jersey. But that is why you want to turn to Nutrafol, the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand and the official hair growth partner of Major League Baseball. They take a personalized approach with formulas that are designed for different stages, different needs. It's physician formulated, clinically tested, and NS certified for sport. Makes your routine easy. All you got to do is take 4 capsules daily with a meal. It's one of those small routines that really helps build your confidence. That's Nutrafol. Find out why Nutrafol is the only hair growth supplement brand trusted by the MLB. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners of Locked On Guardians $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you visit Nutrafol.com and enter promo code LOCKEDONMLB. Make sure you're auto-downloading all of the episodes on all your audio platforms. That's the best way to help the show, and keep it in your feed. And hit the bell on YouTube so you get notified of when our reaction videos go up, when the episodes are posted, when we have little bonus videos, things like that. So keeps you with us and following the Guardians as closely as you can from anywhere in the world with us, and talking Guardians with us, which we really do appreciate. So yeah, we talked a lot about Travis Bazzana. He hit the home run, which was huge, put them up. I had no problem with the Austin Hedges bunt later in the game.
The bunt. No, I thought you meant the throw. I didn't like his throw.
Yeah, the throw.
It's too big of a risk.
I know. Fair. But I mean, and to be fair too, it took Rocchio hitting a hard enough ground ball to get the runner in from third, which was Quan, right? It was Quan who,
I didn't mind Hedges bunt in that situation, especially because Hedges has started to cool off too. Like he's
and Rocchio has just been a guy that really has been good at finding a way to get runners in.
Mm-hmm.
Like he puts the bat on the ball and he kind of does whatever is needed to get the runner over or in. So I had confidence in Rocchio at that point to do something productive, and it was only a hard ground out, which could have gone either way, but thankfully it was the right spot. It worked out well. But that's just I just like where the lineup is. Like they blew out the Tigers on Monday, and then they come back today on Tuesday, and they score runs with a bunt and a sac fly, and a bunt and an RBI ground out. And then they get a 2-run homer. So they're mixing and matching. They're doing different things to score runs, and that makes you feel good. They don't have to win one type of way as long as they walk. Which again, they walked 4 more times in this game. Actually, the Tigers had 6 walks, so the Tigers had more walks and more hits than the Guardians,
and they had to hit back. Yeah, this is one Cleveland should not not have won. Like let's be kind of honest. Like this is a game that they're timely.
And what do we always say, Jeff? What do we always say?
Good teams find ways to win, bad teams find ways to lose. And the other side of it too, though, is we talk about this too, that like it feels like right now everything's falling. I go back to that Twin series where nothing fell correctly. It's like that's the ebbs and flows of the baseball season. We're gonna have some points where the ball doesn't manage to find every hole. Like that's just gonna be part of the year, unfortunately. But I don't see any way right now that anyone could argue that this team is not better than they were a year ago.
Yeah, full stop. It's not even close. Let's quickly talk about the bullpen so we can get into talk about rivalries, as we've been trying to dig into this for a couple of days now because time can be limited when we talk about the Guardians, all the good things they're doing. Good game from Parker Messick. He wasn't at his best, but he was pretty good. Colin Holderman continues to be a fantastic find. He is holding things down as always. Eric Sabrowski was awesome, as he always is this year too. Do not understand him in the 7th inning, especially when you used Heron and Gaddis. Like Gaddis in the 8th inning, like I could at least understand because you've used him in that role before, at least the last couple of years. I know Herron has been using that role before, but Herron has not been good this year by a lot. I mean, he's not allowing a lot of hard contact, which is why he's surviving.
ERA looks good.
Yes, the ERA looks good because he's not giving up a lot of hard contact, because he's not striking anybody out and he's not walking. He's walking a ton of people.
Yeah.
But like, I don't understand why you had the bottom of the order in the 7th inning, why that wasn't the Herron Gaddis combination, and why you didn't save Sabrowski for the 8th against the top of the order. That was kind of befuddling, and it almost got them in trouble.
It's not befuddling, it's dumb. This goes back to what we talked about in the Cincinnati series. Like, this isn't even when the Saturday game they ended up winning. We kind of, because they ended up winning, we kind of forget about it. But it's like, that was 2 games in that Red series where they made some
Paulette one.
Yeah, I mean Paulette, and then I can't remember Saturday when they went. There was something in Saturday where I was like, "This is a bad call again." The bullpen management in 3 of the last 4 games has been poor at best, and this was a classic case. Sabrowski has been arguably your best reliever. Like, he's been you can put him in contention with Smith with his numbers this year. Mm-hmm. And let's send him out against the bottom of the lineup. We've talked about it before. There are 2 guys who have hit in the month of May for the Tigers, and that's Dingler, and that is Riley Green. And Riley Green is a lefty with really bad splits. That's why they moved him down in the lineup today. So why wouldn't you save Sabrowski for the 8th? Like, it's dumb. There's no other way around it. There's no logic to it. It is a poor choice. It doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, in the past, we've seen them show a lot of faith in Herron, and Herron hasn't put up a clean sheet since August 26th. Like, he's going out there, but he is walking someone. He's hitting a lot of guys this year as well. It's walks, it's hits, and he's not missing bats. And it's reminiscent of last year, where they kept acting like he was the Herron of 2 years ago last year, and he just hasn't been that same pitcher. 2 years ago, he was every bit as good as Smith and Clase in his role. And he just has not, he hasn't been that since. And, honestly, the point you and I have talked about, that maybe one of their big needs at the deadline is a reliable second lefty. And I know there's going to be people in our comments like, is ERA? And it's like, that's fine. But I mean, can you objectively watch him and tell me that you feel comfortable and good when he's in there? And this was another one. And it just, like I said, this Vogt has made really poor decisions with the bullpen in 3 of the last 4 games. And it cost him 1 and nearly cost him another.
Yeah, I know every day or Anthony does not feel confident about Gaddis or Herron. We were talking about that tonight as well. Sabrowski is down there in ERA as far as Tim Herron has the lowest ERA of all the relievers in the bullpen. And then it's Colin Holderman.
But his FIP is not that good.
No, his FIP is over 4.
Yeah.
Kate Smith has the lowest FIP. Then it's Sabrowski, but Colin Holderman is there at 236. He's 22nd.
He's been fantastic. The classic. It's not the big guy they signed that ends up being the biggest contributor. It's the secondary piece of the third guy.
They took 2 shots and Brogdon didn't work, but Holderman is working. So you knew you liked their odds on one of those guys. I thought the quote from AJ Hinch on, I don't know if you saw this, Jeff, the quote from AJ Hinch on Tuesday, or I should say Monday, was prophetic. And I think it's exactly what we wanted to talk about. Is AJ Hinch said that right now the Central runs through Cleveland, and we know that. And he's giving, I think some of that had to do with trying to motivate his own players. Like, I think he was challenging them, saying, look, if we want to do something in this division, we have to do it against Cleveland. This is a big series for us. We want to come out and try to win the series, or at least split. They still have a chance to split. Yeah, at the very least.
Because Cleveland's not going to score any runs tomorrow, so it doesn't. They got tomorrow's going to the Tigers.
Yeah, you got Tanner Baye on the mound, so they'll probably lose 3-1. More than likely.
1, you think they're going to give him a whole? Oh, so that'll happen after he's out of the game. They're not going to give him 1 run as support.
Yeah.
He can't get a run.
They'll be down 2-0 by the 6th inning, and then some reliever probably won't be Peyton Paulette because he's having a baby. So congrats to him and his wife because he's gone now. It'll probably be Sean Armstrong or
Armstrong needs work, so I bet we see him tomorrow.
Yeah, or Cody Hoyer because he's up for Paulette, but I think you're right, Armstrong. So so Tanner will give up 2 runs in 6 innings. The bullpen will give up 1, and then the Guardians will probably scratch a run off at the end. But I do think AJ Hinch has a point. Like, I think right now this is their rival. Like, there's not a whole lot of we ask people in the comments about rivals, and Red Sox Yankees is obvious. I saw some people commenting Padres and Dodgers. I will.
That was number 2, far and away. That was number 2, far and away in our comments.
It's a rivalry right now, But that rivalry developed because the Padres got good. They bought a bunch of players. They got Fernando Tatis and they brought Machado, all that kind of stuff. So they were going for it. And the Dodgers are the Dodgers. That was never an actual like rivalry for a long time. It was always Dodgers Giants, and it still is.
But
right
Giants
now, the
just
Giants
aren't good. The Giants haven't been good for like
Giants,
a decade. I mean, it's been a while since the Giants had a team worth a
they had
consistent team.
They had that one weird year where they won 100 games. They didn't do anything in the playoffs, but
yeah,
that's been the more of the rivalry with the Dodgers, and obviously Red Sox, Yankees. I guess Yankees Mets is one.
No one brought that up in our comments, not once.
Yeah,
Philly, the only one mentioning the Mets was
I think that's
Phillies
more of
and
a.
Mets. And I think Phillies and Mets is probably a better rivalry than Yankees Mets, if I'm being honest.
Someone did say Cubs Cardinals. That has
been
one.
And we had someone else say Cubs Brewers.
Cubs Brewers is one for sure. I appreciate what Major League Baseball was trying to do with this rivalry weekend, but you had my wife and I talk about this one. You had the Eddie Vedder Cup, which was the Padres and the Mariners. The Mariners don't have a natural rival because they are all the way up alone by themselves in the Pacific Northwest.
There's a little bit with Houston. I think if you asked Mariners
fans,
there has
been with Houston. Yeah, and that's the thing I wish we had differently about Major League Baseball in the schedule, because everybody kind of plays the same schedule, right? You play, 14 times with your divisions because we switched away from the unbalanced schedule, and it's better than playing the White Sox 19 times, especially this year. But you don't have like natural rivalries. Like you have other than that, everybody plays each other. Everybody plays the same amount of teams. You play every team, whether it's home or road. Like in the NFL, the schedule comes out after the season's over because it goes on last season's records, right? You're trying to match up the teams that did well with the teams that did that. Baseball, the schedule for next season comes out in August usually. So, and it's always the same schedule every year. Like I wish you could get like, if you do rivalry weekend, it would be Guardians in Detroit because they face each other the last two times in the playoffs. And AJ Hinch just said the division goes through Cleveland. So I think that is the natural rival. There's always been a rivalry with the Yankees and the Guardians, I think, at least going back to the 90s. Like I know we saw some comments about that as well. I don't know. Like as much as I like to joke about the Ohio Cup, I know it's been around a long time, and you do have, like we joked that Cincinnati's not even in Ohio. Like that's the joke, right? Is it's not. So how your team's not even in the same state? How could they be in-state rivals if you want to joke that they're not in the same state? So I don't know. I appreciate what Emily was trying to do, but I like manufacturing Marlins and Rays just because they're in the same state. Like who cares? Nobody goes to their games. Like the Rays are great and they don't draw. The Marlins are scrappy. They don't draw. Who did the Diamondbacks play? I don't even know who they played. Who did they play on rivalry weekend? Was it the Rockies?
Colorado, I bet, because they came in at the same time and they're in the same division. So I'm betting it was Colorado.
The Diamondbacks and the.
You're right, because it was Colorado and my the Marlins.
Yeah.
So it was it was the.
Yeah. I just wish like you would
relatively same time, let's say.
Yeah, baseball. If you do have rivalries, they develop organically, like Cleveland, Detroit, because they played each other the last two times. Boston, New York's always going to be one.
I would argue,
outside of that,
in a lot of regards, that's really the only true rivalry. That's the only true, like, always continuous, venomous rivalry.
Yeah, it's Ohio State. It's an Ohio State, Michigan. It's a Duke, North Carolina.
Baseball, I think it's because it's a non-contact sport. Just there is not as much of that, like, build up of hatred like you see in just about every other sport. And people point out like, oh, I was raised to hate the Yankees, and I'm like, and I get that, but I also know, like, when I moved to New York in the like 2007, I would join with Yankee fans in my hatred of Boston. Like Boston at the time was more annoying to me than New York was, because they kept winning everything, and they spent years talking about how, oh, we haven't won a baseball, but they'd won everything else around that time. It's like, you don't get to complain about not winning one thing when you're winning every other championship. So even that can shift and change. But yeah, I mean, for us personally, and I talked about it. I mean, Justin's taking the high road. I have not. I think I get extra enjoyment out of this series just because when we get like negative comments on YouTube or we get personal attacks, more come from Detroit fans than like all other bases, including the Guardians combined. Like, for whatever reason. And even like if you listen to tonight's game, you heard the Detroit fans having a chant, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, guys. Your football team disappointed, and your basketball team disappointed, and your college team was an embarrassment this year. I'm sorry. I understand. It's hard. You had a hard year. And your baseball team is currently one of the 5 worst in baseball after being the story of the spring. Oh, isn't that cute? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Let's give you a little pat on the head. I mean, it just.
This is not
like
going to invite any better comments.
No, I know we're guys, but they're going to come after us anyway, so I don't care. Like I've got family members who are Tiger fans. Like, honestly, I tend to root for the Tigers when Cleveland isn't facing them because, like, I mean, I went to so many Tigers games as a kid. Like I remember seeing Bobby Higginson and Tony Clark when there was nothing else. Debbie Cruz, like I can go deep on them
Ryan
as
Hunter.
well. It's Justin Thompson. Those were. The Tigers, I almost felt bad for in the 90s because they struggled so mightily, and Cleveland was a juggernaut then. But yeah, I know it's not all of you. We have great Detroit fans as well out there. So I apologize to them if I was just a condescending jerkbag, which I was. That was specifically if you're not someone who is going to like immediately type a swear word and or call me a name. It was not directed at you. To everyone who does those things, that's where that was directed.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens after the Guardians try to win 1-0 after Tanner Bibee is out of the game on Wednesday. We'll talk about that. We at some point need to get into our prospect rankings update because things are changing quickly. And we talked a little about the All-Stars game tonight. I'd like to talk about the Futures game at some point too, because there could be a lot of fun in the Futures game. All-Star week could be a lot of fun for Cleveland.
It could be. That is certainly for sure. Again, thank you all for watching, no matter your fan base. Because if you comment, watch, do any of that stuff, hey, we win here. So we thank you all. Again, thank you all for joining us. Rate and review, download, hit that thumbs up or that thumbs down. Even any interaction helps us. Thank you all. And go Guardians, go. Maybe score 2 for Tanner. Set a new record.
At least 2.
Maybe.
Yes.